Hello everyone, welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. In today's news analysis, the first article which we'll be taking is from Indian Express page number 13 and the article is titled Show Must Go On. So the election results have been declared, but India needs to keep on moving if we want to transition from developing country to developed countries, and what are the steps which we need to take, that we'll be discussing in this particular article. If we talk about the second article of the day, which is on Hindu page number 16, 5 eyes, here we'll talk about Australia and their shortage of armed forces and what are the things Australia needs to do to cater to the shortage of armed forces. If we talk about the third article, which is on Indian Express page number 4, this is about World Environment Day. 5th June, World Environment Day. Who celebrates it? What is the theme? What is the name of the host country? We'll be talking about this and more in this third article. If we talk about the fourth article of the day, which is on Indian Express page number 33, here we'll talk about foreign portfolio investor, FPI, FII, FDI. What is the difference between them? What is the current scenario and why is this thing happening, which has happened? We'll talk about that in detail. If you talk about the last article of the day, which is on Hindu Science page number 2, here we'll talk about bacteria that write new genes. Here, the term which is very crucial from our exam perspective rather is bacteriophage, a virus that invades bacteria, and how bacteria is adapting to this whole scenario. We'll be talking about this in this particular article. After delineating these 5 articles, we'll also be solving 5 prelims practice question and 1 mains question, via which rather things will be getting etched in your memory. So let's start the video. If we talk about the first article of the day, the show must go on. 2024 election result has been declared, but now the show which is about making India transition from developing to developed country, that will go on. And this article is about the things which we have to keep on doing. Irrespective of what happened and what was the earlier projection, etc., we have to keep on moving. And if we talk about Indian economy per se, questions have been asked. In 2022, they have asked a question related to inclusive growth, whether it is possible under market or capitalistic economy or not, right? Now, if we talk about the context of this particular article, the election outcome seems to be against the market and exit poll expectations. But the show should not stop. It should go on. And what is the show all about? The show is all about increasing or paving way for India's economic growth. How we can keep on doing things so that India's growth trajectory keeps on going rather in a upward path. Now here, this particular article is very interesting because generally what happens, we try to put particular article in a silo, whether it is a part of economy or polity or governance or let's say history. But this article encompasses different polity governance structure. It also included different economic measures. Like there is a word here that if you want to keep on increasing India's economic growth trajectory, we have to address disguised unemployment. What is disguised unemployment? That should be your area of concern here. So what is disguised unemployment? So let's say we are needing 3 people to work on a particular arena, but 4 people are working. Then in that scenario, the marginal productivity of the 4th labor is 0. And this is disguised unemployment. In Hindi, it is known as छिपा हुआ unemployment. You are not seeing it, but the 4th person's productivity is actually 0. So these are some measures which has been recommended by the article, that we have to enhance agricultural productivity, we have to facilitate free labor movement, and we have to put some pressure on different countries, because if you talk about European countries per se, they want our goods, but they are not allowing the free movement of our labor services rather. So we have to focus on that as well. Skill development, and there are so many different missions. There are so many different centers which has been established. We keep on talking about vocational training under NEP 2020. All these things we can do to keep on improving India's economic growth trajectory. Support services sector. This is a very well-known fact that primary, secondary, tertiary sector, services sector contributes a very significant portion of India's GDP, right? And we have to keep on supporting it. Improve judicial infrastructure. Why this is important? Because there is pendency of cases. There are lakhs of cases which are pending in Supreme Court, High Court, Subordinate Court. And according to one economic survey data, the average pendency of cases is approximately 5 years, which is actually huge. And that can reduce our trust in the judicial infrastructure as well, which is not very good for individuals as well as businesses. So that's why we have to improve judicial infrastructure if you want to keep on increasing the pace of India's economic growth. Enhance ease of doing business, invest in. So these are the points which you can use in polity governance, which you can use in from economic perspective as well, right? improve education and healthcare. And again, when you see these points, now you see these proposed steps, this will remind you of the 17 SDGs. This particular article, more or less, is focusing on some of these 17 SDGs, like zero hunger, no poverty, good health, well-being. These areas we have to focus on. We have to keep on focusing on, because if these areas get improved to a certain extent, if we talk about health or education, so social indicators will be getting improved, and that's how India's economic growth trajectory will be on the upward path, right? So here we have seen all these points. These points you can use in mains. From pre-perspective, sustainable goals, 17 sustainable goals, 169 target, that has to be achieved by 2030. All these points are very important from UPSC pre-perspective as well as mains perspective. How SDGs are important from mains perspective. You can always not take SDG. Like, let's say there's a question on poverty. You can take SDG 1. There's a question on, let's say, hunger. You can take SDG 2, poverty, hunger. So always be on the lookout. If there is a mains question, try to remember which SDG it caters to. More or less, almost all mains question has to cater to some of the SDGs, because these SDGs are about, like, they are catering to each and every social and economic indicators, if not all, right? So you talk about 5, gender equality, and there are certain cheat codes also. So let's say SDG 5 is gender equality, SDG 10 rather is reduce inequality. So sometimes we used to memorize it, like 5 is gender equality, so 5 into 2, 10, that is about reduce inequality. So this way, whatever floats your boat, you have to remember these SDGs, especially like there are certain important SDGs which I will earmark for you. SDG 1 is important, 2 is important, 3, 4, all these are important, 5 is also important. Then here, you will have 10, reduce inequality, that is important. 11, sustainable cities and communities is important, because environment is a very key component of UPSC prelims. Both IAS and IFS, they have the same prelims. Environment is a very key component. So don't forget SDG 11, don't forget SDG 13, as well as SDG 14 and 15. So these are some very important SDGs. Anyway, you have to remember all the 17, and the best way is paste it on your wall and try to remember it. Try to say it and again and again and again, and the things will get etched in your memory. Moving on to the second article of the day. This is about Australia. More than Australia, you have to be on the lookout for terms like 5 eyes, 9 eyes, 14 eyes. What are these organizations all about? Important from IR perspective. Important from both, like if you talk about pre as well as mains perspective. In both arena, you have to understand it. This is a very interesting scenario, because this article is talking about that Australia does not have enough manpower to, recruit in the military forces. They need more manpower and they don't have it. So what they're doing is they are recruiting manpower from different countries as well. And what are those countries? So we'll talk about that. So this article is dealing with this particular phenomena. And why I'm telling you that keep an eye on these 5 eyes, 9 eyes and 14 eyes, because UPSC asks questions on organizations. Like they have asked question on G20. So you need to be aware about what are the countries which comprise 5 eye. What are the countries which comprise 9 eye, 14 eye. We'll talk about it. So Australia's government announced that it will permit non-citizens to enlist in the armed forces. And why is it happening? Because they have a very sparse population. We know Australia is a very big continent, rather. But major portion of Australia's, if you talk about the country as well as continent, because it is country as well as continent, it's very arid in nature. The population growth also is very, if we compare it with India, it's relatively very low. So they have a population conundrum there. And that's why they are announcing this particular measure. So more about the new citizens from Britain, Canada, New Zealand and United States are given preference under this new policy, and they are part of the 5 eyes. But the point here is, the future concern is even the current recruitment level will be insufficient, and Australia need to do something more to address their this particular military challenge. So what are these 5 eyes and what are they doing? 5 eyes. So the 5 eye countries are US, UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. And there's a very interesting, I will just show you an image. 5 eyes, US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. And then you are adding 4 more countries, Denmark, France, Holland, Norway, and then 5 more. So let's say sometimes what happens when you have too much of data, people start feeling like, sir, we'll not be able to remember it. Focus on the 5 eye countries. These are important countries. They are very close allies of Australia. Australia is also included here. And what they are doing, some keywords are here. Like I will tell you, when you read about SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, you read something called as RATS, Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure or Squad, if I'm not wrong. So understand the words. RATS is associated with what? Similarly, SIGINT or SIGINT. signals intelligence is associated with which particular organization? That is 5 Is. So what they are doing, they are focusing on signals intelligence. What is signals intelligence? So we are talking on phone, we are sending mails and all these things. So deciphering all these information just to see whether some fastidious or some not so good mails and calls are being made and which are of suspicious nature. So all these things are happening and they are having or they are cooperating with each other in this regard, right? So 9 Is now, this cooperation is extending. More and more countries are becoming part of it, and that's why 5 Is have become 9 I and now 14 Is, right? So again, from exam perspective, first focus on 5 I. US, like if we see the mnemonic here, this is UUCAN. Whatever, like, see, sometimes there are cheat codes and mnemonics we keep on talking about. So you can make your own mnemonic, like you can. You can, whatever floats your boat, whatever mnemonic you want to make, it's totally up to you. Yes, you can. So here, you can. So you can will help you in remembering the countries of 5 Is. If we talk about the third article of the day, and this is actually a very important article, Environment article, World Environment Day. Today we are celebrating World Environment Day on 5th June. So there can be multiple type of questions which can be asked. That World Environment Day is celebrated under the aegis of UNEP, UNFCCC, this and that. So there are so many questions. What is the theme of World Environment Day 2024? Which is the host country? 2024 host country of World Environment Day. And then there are certain other things. UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. Where is the headquarter of UNEP? What does UNEP deal with? When was it formed? Which conference led to the formation of UNEP? Are you seeing how many things can be asked from this particular article? So very important article, environment and conservation related article. And these kind of things like Momentum for Change, etc. is an initiative launched by. Similarly, they can ask you that World Environment Day is an initiative launched by which particular organization. So we have to talk about World Environment Day as well along with the organization. World Environment Day, 5th June, led by UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. Great. Now, the important terms associated with World Environment Day. What is the theme? Our land, our future. We are generation restoration. So here it's all about land restoration, desertification. Like I will give an example. Agra is a town in UP. And there are certain areas of Rajasthan which are bordering this particular region. And they are little bit desert prone, those Rajasthan areas. And because of that, even Agra is witnessing certain amount of desertification. To address these kind of issues on a larger scale, the focus is on land restoration, desertification in this particular or World Environment Day, right? So we are focusing on these areas. And then you have also called as UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. So UNFCCC you have, UNCBD you have, and then UNCCD, which is focusing exclusively on the desertification scenario. 2024 host, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Significance of the theme. And what is the significance? That long-term harm to the environment, we are doing it. And these are all anthropogenic changes, human-induced changes. And it's never too late. We can still reverse the changes. Montreal Protocol, which was related to ozone layer depletion, is a very pertinent example that yes, we can do certain steps which can reverse the changes which has happened in environment. Highlights the need for one committed generation and subsequent generation to drive environmental restoration, which is the need of the hour. Right? So now, this World Environment Day is celebrated under the aegis of UNEP. So you need to know about UNEP. What is UNEP? So UNEP is an organization under UN, as the name suggests. The headquarters is in Nairobi, Kenya. And this is a keyword here. Why this is a keyword? Because generally what happens when you see different organizations, international organizations, you will see their headquarters is in Vienna, Austria, etc. But UNEP's headquarters is in Nairobi, Kenya. And this is actually a keyword which you need to understand. Established in 1972 under Stockholm Conference. Now, again, pay attention here. There are different Stockholm Conference. There is one Stockholm Conference on persistent organic pollutant, POP. So be on the lookout for which Stockholm Conference they are talking about. 1972, Stockholm, UNEP was established. From 1973 onwards, World Environment Day is being celebrated. Headquarters is in Nairobi, Kenya, not Vienna, Austria. Pay attention to this fact. If we talk about the fourth article, here we are talking about FPI, Foreign Portfolio Investment. Now, there are key terms here. FPI, FII, FDI. What is the difference between FPI, FII, FDI? There was an exit poll recommendation or prediction rather that BJP alliance, ND alliance, they will get 400, more than 400 seats and everything. Even then, what has happened is foreign portfolio investor, they have taken out money from India and they have invested it elsewhere. Why has it happened? Even though, like sometimes what happens now, right now there is a chance of coalition government. So people are feeling like, okay, coalition government is there, India is unstable, so let's take out money from India. But that was not the situation earlier. Even then, the investment has reduced, or the people has, individuals and the entities, they have taken out money from India. What was the reason for that? We'll talk about it. So these kind of questions related to FPI, FII, FDI, it has been asked by UPSC in both pre as well as mains, right? So the question, or the context rather here is, FPI increased stock selling since January. See, we are currently in June month, right? And in June month, exit poll happened and all these things, that we will have a stable government. But even then, and even before, like, let's say in the last 5 months only, FPI people, they have, or investors, they have started taking out money from India. What was the reason? One reason was China. They felt like they will be getting more interest, more money from China. So they started investing more in China. The second reason was, since this is an election year, even though most of the polls and everything, they were saying that the same government will continue, and that is actually the reality, although with lower numbers, but still these FPI people, investors, were skeptical about India. So you need to understand here all these points. And that's why they pulled out. It's not about 1 rupee or 2 rupee. It's 1,25,000 crores which they have taken out from Indian cash market, right? So now what was the trigger? Why foreign portfolio investors, they took out money? So if we keep on talking about the triggers for FPI selling, as we have just discussed, China was a more lucrative market for these FPI investors. And second, election uncertainty. Whatever be the stable predictions which has been done by the polls and everything, still it was an election year and FPI investors were uncertain about the future outcome of these elections. So future outlook, political stability from election result may positively influence the market. Now the election fever is over. We now know the same government will continue for the third tenure, even though with a very reduced margin, and their vote share, or rather than the vote share, the seats have decreased, but still there is a political stability. Comparatively lesser than what it was earlier, but still the political stability will ensure that more and more FPI investors come into India. And US interest rate will have more significant medium-term impact. Watch what US is giving to these FPI investors. That will also determine how much money will be pouring into India, how much investment will be pouring into India. So now coming on to the most important part of this particular article, the difference between FPI, FII and FDI. So FPI and FII, they are sometimes used synonymously, that they are for short term, they are very volatile in nature. Anytime the investors and these investment companies, they can take out the money. But still there are some differences between FPI and FII. We'll talk about it. So FPI's investors, individuals, they are investing money in India for short term, let's say. FII are large investment companies or organizations which are investing money in India for short term. In simple terms, we are talking about. But FDI is not for short term. And you can understand it by an example of, let's say, Amazon. Amazon has a branch in Hyderabad. So they are coming with so much investment. Then they are investing in human resource. So they are here for the long term. So this is FDI. This is not FII or FPI. FII, FPI, they are for short term. FPI is by investors, individual investors. FII is by large investment companies or organizations. So hope you're understanding the difference here. But we'll keep on talking about the key differences between FPI, FII and FDI. So FPI, FII, which are generally taken synonymously, but we have seen this is FPI is generally by individual investors, FII is by companies. So here it is passive investment with little control. And in FDI, there is active management and significant control. And whenever we are talking about FDI, do remember the example of Amazon. That will make things much more clearer. Investment horizon, FPI, FII, short term. And these investors and companies, they can take out money anytime. But FDI is typically long-term. Impact on economy, Amazon has much more impact on our economy than these FPI or FII investors or company. So that's what they are saying. FDI has a more substantial impact on the host country's economy through job creation. And again, whenever we are saying FDI, just remember Amazon. If we talk about the last article of the day, it's very technical in nature, this article. But again, there are certain keywords from which UPSC has asked question earlier, like what is bacteriophage? We need to know this. And there are certain other terms also which we will focus on. So more than the technical aspect of this particular article, you have to focus on the keywords. What does bacteriophage mean, right? Science and tech article it is, and this is talking about, so simple terms, I will just give you an example here. So what is a bacteriophage? we talk about virus, we talk about bacteria, we talk about protozoa, this and that. So generally, when a virus invades bacteria, that is a bacteriophage. So if virus is invading bacteria and is harming bacteria, then bacteria has to take some things. They have to adapt accordingly. And that's what we are going to talk about in this particular article. How viruses, or rather bacteria, is adapting to the attacks of viruses. So these kind of questions related to gene editing, related to genomes or genetic information, they have been asked earlier. CRISPR-Cas9 protein, it has been asked earlier by UPSC, right? So now, what is the context here? Columbia University researchers, they have discovered that Klebsiella pneumoniae bacteria, don't focus on the phonetics here. They are using reverse transcriptase. Now, here there are certain keywords here. What is transcriptase? What is reverse transcriptase? Bacteriophage. And why this reverse transcriptase has been used to combat infections from bacteriophages. And again, this is the most important word which you have to focus in this particular article. What is bacteriophage? Virus that invades bacteria. So this enzyme which gained prominence, again, don't focus here. So if you talk about the bacteriophage thing, it is a virus that infects and replicates within bacteria and archaea. So just like we are evolving with the times, bacteria, they are also evolving with the times to keep a tab on these kind of attacks from bacteriophages, right? So bacteriophage, what is the meaning here? Bacteria eater, and was discovered by Frederick V. W. Todd in Britain and Felix T. Herle in France to describe the agent's bactericidal ability. Again, even if you forget these technical words, just remember bacteriophage, that is a virus which infects other bacteria. So transcription, what is transcription? So when you are copying information of DNA into RNA, that is transcription. And reverse transcription, when you are copying information, like, again, go back. So transcription is copying DNA to RNA, information from DNA to RNA. That is transcription. Reverse transcription will be RNA to DNA, when you are copying information from RNA to DNA. So the reverse transcriptase, it is an enzyme with the help of which RNA could be reverse translated into DNA. Just a basic meaning. What is transcription? What is reverse transcription or reverse transcriptase? That's it. Not more than that, because the things will become much more complicated. So what are the keywords associated with this particular article? Bacteriophage, transcription, transcriptase, and reverse transcriptase. Just keep in mind these keywords. That's it. Now let's solve some prelims practice questions, because the more questions you solve, the more MCQs you solve, the better your retention ability will be rather. So first question, it looks little verbose, but these kind of questions are asked by UPSC. And this particular question is related to the difference between FPI, FII and FDI. Pause me here. So here they're talking about FPI involves investors buying securities, and FII refers to large investment companies, they're buying it. FDI involves passive investment with a little control. FPI, FII involve active management. We are talking about the keywords here. And FDI has more substantial impact on the host country. If you see these statements minutely, you will realize that third statement is wrong. It is not passive investment. In FDI, you have more control as compared to FPI and FII. The third statement is wrong. So if you see the options here, and so you can eliminate C and D directly, and you're left with A and B. Always follow option elimination, because the more you follow the option elimination, the better you'll be in solving these kind of questions which look very verbose. So 1, 2, and 4, all these statements are correct, and the third statement is wrong. So the answer will be B. If you move on to the second question, reverse transcriptase. What is reverse transcriptase? We have just read it. That was the last article of the day. I've told you bacteriophage, transcriptase, reverse transcriptase, these are the keywords. And the answer is, it is an enzyme with the help of which RNA could be reverse translated into DNA. That is reverse transcriptase. Third question, very important question, environment related question. Which organization leads the annual celebration of World Environment Day? And the answer is UNEP. Where is the headquarter of UNEP? If you know this answer, do tell in the comment section. If you move on to the fourth question, what is the theme of, or what is the theme for World Environment Day 2024? Pause me. The answer is Our Land, Our Future, We Are Generation, Restoration. Focusing on desertification theme. Last prelims question. Which of the following nations is not part of Five Eyes Intelligence Sharing Alliance? And the answer is Germany. Germany is not part of it. Now, if we talk about the mains practice question. So this particular question is related to the first article of the day, where we have talked about the show must go on. Election results have been declared or has been declared now. Now, We have to keep on moving. India has to keep on moving. So we have to, in this particular question, we are talking about a comprehensive strategy for India to achieve accelerated, inclusive, and environmentally sustainable growth. So you have to use the fodder, which we have discussed in the first article, where we are focused on education, healthcare, most of the domains of 17 SDG. That's what you have to talk about here. So you can start with all the things, like the introduction part can be that the global landscape is shifting from globalization to protectionism. And we have seen huge, tinges of it when Trump was the president of US. At that time, this protectionism thing gained traction, and now many countries are inward looking. In this scenario, what India needs to do, all these things can be your intro, but this is not a fixed thing. You can have your own intro set, and then in the body you can talk about all the solution, how India can grow and how India can prosper forward. Disguised unemployment concept we have discussed, important from pre as well as means perspective. Gold monetization scheme, there are so many, or so much gold rather, lying idle. If we are bringing it into the formal economy, formal structure, it will help a lot of institutions, a lot of people, a lot of investors, right? And we have to focus on the agricultural processing sector, which is there in GS3, how we have to focus on forward and backward linkages, cold storage, all these things can be talked about here. There are so many points here which you can use. Improve skill development, services sector we have to support. Again, go back to the first article, judicial infrastructure improvement is very much needed to boost investors' confidence. Ease of doing business has to be enhanced. There should not only be easy entry, but also be easy exit of industries as well, right? Investing in future technologies, formulating a responsible mining policy, all these things you can talk about here. Improvement in education and healthcare sector. And then you can conclude that by addressing these areas, India can keep on moving forward and forward, and we will have a better trajectory as far as economic growth is concerned. So that's it for today's DNA analysis. If you liked the video, do share, do subscribe, and keep on watching Narayana IAS Academy.